Hi, I'm TC Burrell. Listen, I just want to say, a happy 50th anniversary to Hillside for reaching a milestone. I was never given an opportunity to kind of share my thoughts regarding Hillside celebrating 50 years and the legacy of the Burrell family. So I just want to take a moment. I am, as I stated before, T.C. Burrell. I am the grandson of the late pastor and late mother, Mindris and Sarah Burrell. A few years ago, I actually preached a message entitled "The Giver, the Gift, and You." And there was a statement that I made in that particular message that went like this. It said, "You cannot eliminate the giver from the gift and the gift from the giver." And so the same thing goes for Hillside in this fact. You cannot eliminate Burrell from Hillside and Hillside from Burrell. There's just no way you can do that. You can't eliminate the 3 months of prayer and fasting that my grandmother, Sarah Burrell, did when they started the church in their home on Navarro Street in Pasadena, and how when the church, when that house just it couldn't contain anymore, they went and got a building, and just the prayer and the fasting, the spiritual authority that was in my grandfather and grandmother. Their church just exploded right away. So you can't eliminate Mother Sarah Burrell praying for those 3 months and then the church exploding. And throughout 50 years, you could witness the musical gospel sounds of Mother Sarah Burrell singing singing songs such as "I'd rather have Jesus than silver and gold." Then you can hear my grandfather, Mindris Burrell, singing the ever staple of Hillside, "No Never Alone." Then you can also hear Dorothy Ross singing "You Must Be Born Again" and "The High Places I Will Bring Down." Then you can also hear Dr. Zenobia Burrell singing "One Day at a Time, Sweet Jesus." You can also hear the late Matthew Burrell Sr. Sing "If I Couldn't Say a Word, I Just Wave My Hands." And then you can also hear, Pastor Philip Burrell singing that famous song "Working on a Building." And then you can also hear First Lady Diane Burrell singing "God Is" and "For God So Loved the World." And then you can also hear Patricia Burrell singing "Take Me Back, Dear Lord," and "All Things Work Together for the Good." And then, who could ever forget the thundering vocal style of the late Roberta Glenn singing "No, It's Not I" and "Jesus, You've Been So Good to Me." And then you can't forget the testimony and the devotional services led by the true fireball herself, Sister Linda Adline. You can't forget the musical collaborations and musicians such as Dr. Edna Burrell, Sister Tamara Glover, Pastor Thomas Burrell Sr., First Lady Diane Burrell, Brother Yancey White, Pastor Lonnie Burrell Sr., Biddet Paysinger, Elder Brent Paysinger Sr., Pastor David Harris, myself, Lonnie Burrell Jr., Robert Burrell Sr., and we can't forget Sean Burrell, and then most definitely nobody can forget the maestro himself, Mike Burrell. And also you can't eliminate the ministers that were birthed out of Hillside, preachers and teachers such as Pastor Edward Burrell, Pastor Lonnie Burrell, the late Assistant Pastor Buddy Burrell, and then you have the late Pastor Matthew Burrell Sr. Then you have Pastor Thomas Burrell Sr., Pastor Philip Burrell, Dr. Zenobia Burrell, Mother Frances Harris. You also have First Lady Diane Burrell. You have Elder Steve Dito. You have Pastor Willie Andrews. You have the late Pastor Wes Griffin. You have Pastor David Mayfield, Elder Bonnell Felton, Elder Melvin Hardage, Elder Stephen Berkeley, Pastor David Harris. You also have Elder Brent Paysinger Sr., and then also myself, and so on and so on. These are just a few to name. You can't forget the service and even the counsel of those who had given themselves over to ministry at Hillside. You can't forget about the late Deacon and Mother Wilfong. You can't forget about the late Mother Annie, who we all called Dear Hall. You can't forget about her. And then you have Sister Gladys Snowden, who dealt with the finances for years. And then you can't forget the Sunshine Band era. When I was coming up, you had Sister Jackie Salisbury, who was over the Sunshine Band. And then you have the late Deacon David Burrell. And then you have also presently Sister Vertine, as we call Auntie Vertie Burrell. These are just a few to name that has had a great impact on the legacy of Hillside. And so I would just like to say, throughout the 50 years that Hillside has been in existence, they have birthed many believers into serving Jesus Christ with their whole lives. For many, they followed the cloud to their God-divine and God-designed destiny, leaving their mark in the history book of Hillside and living out the legacy of the teachings they have received from there. To the living pillars of Hillside, and I'm talking to my aunts and uncles, the children of Mendris and Sarah Burrell. Hillside is what it is. It is what it has become because of you. Hillside has become what it is because of your work, your lives, your voices, and your reputation has established the standard of serving Christ for those all across the globe. And so I would just like to say, as a son, as a patriarch of the Burrell family, to my Burrell patriarchs, I affirm you. I truly affirm you. As Isaac in Scripture, you redug the wells that your father established, but those against you filled them back up, preventing you from being established. Now, after many tests and trials, God has given you Rehoboth. God has given you room to flourish and to establish your own legacy in the earth. To the Burrell matriarchs, I affirm you as well. Be the mothers that God has created you to be. Nurture the children that Christ has given you and teach them to stand and to live for Christ. And then last but not least, to Hillside. Do everything you can to please God, not man. Do not become another church that was and is no longer. Worship the Lord in truth, and you will live to see another 50 years. I'm T.C. Burrell. Happy 50th anniversary, Hillside.